most mobile quarterbacks in the National Football League right now. A ton of interceptions the last 2 weeks, a couple fumbles, and I think the entire team is sitting back watching Russ cook. They didn't understand that we created this mantra for him to go out and do his thing and for everybody else to follow. But the defense is playing bad. The offensive line is not blocking, and this team is starting to implode. They got to find a way to put it together this week. Now, the Rams wasn't a bad football team. You know, it's almost impossible to block Aaron Donald, and they have a stellar defense. We got to give them credit for that. But if they're going to move forward and compete postseason and be the team that we know they can beat, they're going to have to start doing some things to show us that they don't have all these fatal flaws, because it's showing up, and it's showing up against the good teams. And in the postseason, it's going to be nothing but good teams. So I hope this team figure out a way to get better on the fly, because in the next 7 games, it has to show up.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, Mike. This team, to me, they're not pretenders. They're just playing really bad right now. Now, defensively, all year they've been bad. Wilds, you've been talking about it. You've been highlighting them all year. But then you asked them to stop the LA Rams and hold them, and they kind of did. They held them to 23 points. Yeah. So then you look at it, and you're like, well, what's wrong? You go to the offensive side, and, Mike, you hit it on the head. Russell Wilson, number one, you're not protecting Russell Wilson. He's getting hit way too much. That's number one. Second, Russell Wilson's his eyes are off. And this is what makes him great. You see him playing in the pocket, stepping up, getting outside, escaping, and then looking down the field and finding someone wide open, or finding someone and threading the needle. That's what made him the clear-cut MVP. But what's happened the last 3 or 4 games, he's doing the same exact thing, but it's ending in a pick. He's throwing the ball into coverage. He's throwing the ball in the end zone. Someone else is coming down with it other than the Seattle Seahawks. And that's a problem. You can't win games turning the ball over. And Russell has this innate ability to find guys as he's escaping the pocket, as he's getting up the field. And the last thing is, they're too predictable on offense, and it's not a bad thing. It's just you got to develop the short game, the quick game. Everybody knows that this team wants to be balanced. Everybody knows this team wants to run the ball, then take shots. This is not a complex or sophisticated offense. It really isn't. I sat in that offense for an entire year. They want to take shots. And what did the Rams do? They eliminated the big play. And for that reason, they struggle. And they're going to continue to struggle until they figure it out. But I'm confident that they will. I've said it 3 weeks ago, and it continues to happen. But I'm going to say it again. I got to believe in Russell Wilson. He is not a trendy player. He is not a player that has a lot of highs and a lot of lows. So what we're seeing these last couple weeks, I don't know what it is, Nick, if he's pressing. I don't know if it's just, one of those moments where it's like, hey, that just happens to a player. But we do not see Russell Wilson play up and down, up and down. We've never seen this before.
Well, and right now, there's Seahawks are 6-0 when Russ has 1 or no turnovers, and they're 0-3 when he has multiple turnovers. They're 1-3 in their last 4 games, and he has 10 turnovers. That ain't great. Now, it clearly is not all on him. This game, he was particularly bad when their defense played well, but previously, the defense had been letting him down again and again, which is one of the reasons he was pressing. The reason I won't give up on Seattle is every team in the NFC has a flaw. New Orleans quarterback just got hurt, so we got to watch that. Green Bay cannot stop the run, even if the opposing quarterback is Jake Luton, whoever the hell that is, and you know they're running the football. Tampa can't deal with a pass rush. The Rams don't have a quarterback. The Cardinals have no experience. So every team in the NFC has one issue. My worry, Wilds, is the Seahawks don't have a good win yet. Their best win, their only win against a playoff team is Miami, and that was Miami pre-Tua in a game Fitzpatrick kept turning the ball over. They played Arizona, got beat, played Buffalo, got beat, played the Rams, got beat. So they've played 3 high-level teams with their current starting quarterback, and they're 0 for 3. And by the way, they have games left against, I think, Washington, Philly, the Jets, and the Giants. So I think they're going to be able to get 10, 11 wins on the season without ever beating anybody. So I think we're going to have major questions about Seattle even when we get into January, Wilds. But I'm not ready to say they're pretenders because the rest of the NFC has too many flaws as well.
Yeah, also a yard away from losing to the Patriots. Hey, Mike, curious stat here. DK Metcalf ended up with 2 catches for 28 yards, but had no targets until late in the third quarter. Did Russell Wilson have a responsibility to just kind of get him something, even though Jalen Ramsey was all over him?
Yeah, well, Jalen Ramsey is one of the best cover corners in the game, and DJ Metcalf is fast, but he's not the fastest. He's proven that he can beat guys down the field on the deep ball, but Jalen Ramsey just don't give up those type of plays. And typically for a quarterback, we go into a game knowing that we have one of the best corners in the game on one side. Naturally, we just eliminate that side of the field. I don't care if who's out there, Deshaun Jackson, DK Metcalf, it could be Terrell Owens. Whoever's out there, we naturally automatically kind of shut that side of the field off.
Why?
So, yes, as a quarterback,
why do you guys do that to us? Why?
We give them too much respect. I always been a guy who thought that, as I look back over the course of my career, I gave some of the top corners in the game too much credit. After working all week with my receivers and my guys, I should have gave them more opportunity. And wow, that's a case where Russell Wilson should have gave DK Metcalf more opportunities because he probably would have won those matchups more than he lost.
It's probably a
Brandon,
smart
let's
thing.
talk about that. Let's talk about that. Your experience when you've gone against your era version of Jalen Ramsey. Not that your era was a long time ago, but you weren't going up against Jalen. Your number one receiver, number one corner. I feel like it's supposed to be he wins some, you win some. And in yesterday's game, it was almost like a no contest because DK didn't really have an opportunity to win many of those routes.
Well, here's the issue. So for me, I look at Champ Bailey, practiced against him, also played against him. Al Harris out in Green Bay, they played a lot of cover one. Darrelle Revis and Nnamdi Asomugha when he was with the Oakland Raiders, and he was considered probably the #1 cover corner. And we would go into these meetings, and our coaches, Coach Shanahan, a Hall of Famer, won the Super Bowl. He would say, we're not throwing to that side. Like, we would literally shut that side off. It was off limits. Quarterback wouldn't even look that way. And Peyton Manning did it when he played against the Denver Broncos and Champ Bailey. He would not throw at Champ Bailey. And he had Marvin Harrison. He also had Reggie Wayne, and he would not do it. And I think it's because the stakes are just too high, right? There's too much risk. If you throw that ball just an inch too short or a little off, it could be going the other way for 6. And I think that's the